Hello and welcome to Access UTV. My name's Michelle Edhouse, and today I'd like to talk to you about a topic which has been an interesting topic around my family for many years, and that's screen time. Now, my kids absolutely adore playing games, just like their mother and father do, and it's always been an interesting thing for me. I've had a lot of people in my life who have pointed out to me the wrongness of screen time and pointed out to me the wrongness of the amount of screen time my children have, and it's always been an interesting scenario for me because, I look at it and I go, okay, cool. So if I allow my kids to have screen time, what will that create? If I don't allow my kids to have screen time, what will that create? And sometimes it's lighter, sometimes it's heavier. It varies depending on what's happening, whether I'm asking a long-term thing, a short-term thing, a today-only thing. It just totally changes in every 10 seconds. And what if your parenting could change in every 10 seconds as well? Now, what brought me to this topic of conversation? We have had some stuff going on around the house where the kids have just been hiding in their screens, and that doesn't work for me. And that really does not work for me. They're cutting off the world. They're not contributing to the family. Totally happy for them to have as much screen time as they like, as long as they are still being present with themselves, with their bodies, and with the house and the family. We had one situation where I wasn't even sure whether if the fire alarm went off, whether they'd even notice. So at the end of last week, I gave them some time to show to me that they actually weren't sucked in so much that they couldn't be present in their own lives, and they deliberately chose to not do anything different to what they were already doing. So on Sunday night we had a big conversation, and I had said to them if they can't sort themselves out, they'll be having a week without screens. Now Sunday rolled round, they hadn't sorted themselves out, they hadn't towed the line as such, and so we had a conversation, and I never at any point actually said to them, look, that's it, no screens. But that had been the information, and I said to them, so have you done what's required to show me that you are present in the world as well as in your game? No. Okay, cool. And we had a big conversation about it, lots of chats about what that could create and blah, blah, blah. And woke up Monday morning and they were doing no screen time. And they've been doing no screen time ever since, except of course at school because they're both in digital classes. And so it's been really interesting because I never actually put my foot down and said, right, screens off, you're not allowed screens, da 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 da. Now, when I was picking Aiden up from school today, there was an interview on national radio talking about no screen time, about how much screen time's good for them, how much screen time they should or shouldn't have. And the really interesting thing about it was the detrimental screen time that was being talked about was actually not about playing games. The only detrimental side to playing games that they could come up with was that they weren't outside hanging out with their mates. And that wasn't a biggie in regards to mental health and stuff like that. The biggie was those that were spending a lot of time on social media and not actually... What it came down to basically was when, due to lack of response time from others, you start going into the rightness and wrongness of you or them, and start beating yourself up because obviously they don't like you enough to respond fast enough, and you've got to respond fastest so that you prove that you're a friend and all of this stuff. And so my question to you is screen time actually bad for children? What is it about children's development that having screen time actually contributes to? And what is it about their development that it takes away from? And what are you aware of? And is it different for your kids than from the neighbours' kids? You know, there was a big conversation in that interview about the difference between boys and girls. I have 2 boys, and it was very clear from what they were saying that the difference between boys and girls is that girls internalize stuff, think about stuff, make everything in themselves wrong about stuff a lot more than boys do. So I found that quite interesting, and I was like, oh, is that true? And there's an element of truth in it, but there's also an element of a lie in it as well. So what I'd love you to look at is whenever you're hearing somebody talking about screen time, talking about how much you should allow, shouldn't allow, talking about the value of, for and against, all of that stuff, I'd love you to look at what part of this is the truth and what part of this is a lie. Is there a lie attached here? And are you willing to actually see what's true for you and what's true for your kids, using that heavy and light tool that we've talked about with access consciousness? So I'm not going to give you any answers about parenting in regards to screen time. What I'd love you to do is ask more questions. So what questions can you ask? What questions have you not asked yet? And what are you unwilling to be aware of, that if you are willing to be aware of it, would create this topic so much more ease and create your parenting around this topic so much more ease. So thanks for joining me here at Access You TV, and what else is possible with regards to parenting and screen time that you haven't even imagined yet. Have fun. Cheers.